Hi, I'm Wayne Brown, and this is another video from Yet They Resist. Friends, associates, co-workers, and acquaintances. Have you ever been around people who you thought was pretty cool people, only later to find out that they were either racist or racist sympathizers? There are a lot of people out there that's like that, who basically provide cover for themselves because you are their friend. And a lot of times what happens is that they make exceptions for themselves because they say they have a black friend or a minority friend, or they dated a black person or went out with a black person, or got married to a black person. And look, once again, I'm going to say that not all white people are racist. I keep saying that because it's important that I don't categorize everybody in the same boat. But the vast majority of the people are, in my opinion, I believe that because it's demonstrated in American life. It's just there. We see it all the time. And sometimes you're around people who you think are not. It turns out that they are. Either that category or another category, meaning racist or racist sympathizers, meaning that they actually go along with and agree with a lot of the things that the racists actually do in public. All right? Such is the case with one of my former friends that I'm going to share that story with you right now. Back in 2009, I met this white gentleman who was in my office building, and we kind of struck up a conversation and found out that we had some things in common. The thing that we had in common was that we were both, at the time, dating Asian women. I was dating my girlfriend at the time, who would later become my wife, and my girlfriend lived in the Philippines. He was at this point dating this Chinese lady living in China. And so he went over to China, he visited her, and it turned out when he got back, it didn't really work out. And so later, as we began to talk and began to share common stories and we built this friendship, he turned around and ended up going online and meeting this Filipino lady that would soon become his wife. I got married first. So in 2014, he had indicated to me that he had plans to marry his Filipino girlfriend. And he asked for my help in the K-1 visa process, which I did. I helped him. And he was able to get his fiance over here in America in approximately about 6 months. She arrived here in September of 2014. And they got married in November of 2014. We did various things, between that 2-month period that she was here, including going to their wedding. And in late November, of course, there's Thanksgiving, I invited the both of them over to our home to have Thanksgiving dinner. And I live in this condominium complex. I just want to set that up because this is important. So we invited them over for Thanksgiving dinner. And after dinner, we're sitting around on the sofa, just having small talking conversation. And one of the things that I had noticed is that over the last couple of months, we had new neighbors. And our house has always been immaculate, never had any bugs, any roaches whatsoever. But when a new neighbor moved in, we started seeing a small amount of roaches kind of creeping in. And I kind of surmised that it came from the new person because everybody else was there for a few years and we didn't have that problem. So that was just my deducement. However, when I had mentioned this, my friend, new Filipino wife, who had been here 2 months at this point, had basically asked me this question. She said, "Are your neighbors Mexican?" And I kind of looked and I go, "Yeah, why?" She said, "Well, because Mexicans are nasty." And I go, "What? You can't say that. How can you say that Mexicans are nasty?" And when I said that, her husband, my white friend, chimed in and doubled down on it and said, "Yeah, Mexicans are nasty." And I'm like, "Man, you can't really say that." I say, "Look, there are different people who may not be as tidy, who may not be as clean because they don't really like to clean up or whatever the deal is, but you cannot say the whole race of people is nasty." And instead of him backing down on that statement, he actually doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on that statement. Yeah, the ones that I know, the ones I've been around, they're nasty. And so it was very like disheartening to hear him say that. And I couldn't back him off that point. And so we kind of let it go at that point. And then later, after they left, my wife points out to me, said, Wayne, because we had been to their home several times, their apartment actually several times. And when we walked into their apartment, it was very nice. It was clean. The living room was nice. The kitchen, the dining area was very nice. But my wife points out to me and says, Wayne, his roommate, because they had a roommate, his roommate is Mexican. I'm like, you're right. I never thought of that. I did not think of that at the time. But yet, he was saying that all Mexicans were nasty, and yet his roommate is Mexican. And all the furniture, by the way, that was in the living room, we asked, all the furniture, the dining area, the living room, the big screen television, everything that was just so nicely decorated was all owned by the Mexican roommate. And yet he was making this outlandish statement that all Mexicans are nasty. I was like, okay, man, you know, what's up with this? And I really was kind of didn't know what to do at that point because he's my friend, but I'm also trying to correct him, but he wouldn't back off of it. So anyway, that was one strike. One of the things that I want to say is that how can his wife really make that kind of statement? She had only been here for 2 months, okay? For 2 months. And she's from like Mindanao in the Philippines, and she has never even gotten on an airplane before. And yet she had made this statement. I'm like, where did she really get this statement from? Where did she really get this mentality from? My only thought is that she got it from her husband, because there's no way that she was probably ever even introduced or even met a Mexican in her life before, other than her roommate. I'm thinking that prior to coming here, that she probably never met a Mexican in her life. I doubt very seriously if there were Mexicans in Mindanao, Philippines. But yet, she was making statements like that. The next thing that happened with this friend was that we had the fortunate experience, my wife and I, of going to Italy in August of 2015. My friend brought us to the airport and 2 weeks later picked us up. And, you know, we kind of talked, we was talking a little bit, and then we decided like to soon make some arrangements to get together for dinner. And so we met them at like a week or so later at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Anaheim. And as we were driving, my wife and I were driving to Roscoe's, I pulled into the parking lot. My wife had already been cued in on this earlier during the day, but she forgot about it. And plus she told me she didn't want to tell me this when I was driving because she thought I would get upset. Okay? And what happened was when we parked, she said, Wayne, before we go in, I want to show you some posts, some Facebook posts that your friend posted. And so she went to her, she pulled out her phone, she shows me the Facebook post by my friend. And on that post that my friend had reshared, it was a reshare. It was an image, it was a reshare photo of President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle Obama photoshopped in monkey face. And above that, he had wrote in, yeah, the real Obamas, monkeys. And I looked at that, and of course, I didn't like it. Because now I'm thinking that you could have political differences with Obama, but you're calling a black man and a black woman a monkey. So I'm thinking he must be feeling the same way about me or other black people as well. But then my wife said, wait a minute, there's more. So she flips through her phone and she finds another video that he had also reshared. And what it was like a training video of like a military training video where men were climbing on top of each other real fast until they got over a wall that was there. The wall looked like it was about 50 feet high, right? And the training video was showing that each man was climbing on top of each other so they could hop over the wall. And he made the comment, something to the effect that these are Mexicans who are jumping over Trump's new wall. This was 2015 now, so President Trump was at that time candidate Trump, and he was talking about building this wall. So he thought that was funny. But once again, he's making a derogatory reference. At least that's the way I saw it. And I'm sure when you listen to it, you probably feel the same way. A derogatory reference to Mexicans. So this is the second time he have said this about Mexicans. And I'm going to say this. When I was looking at this, he had called on the phone and said, "Where are you guys?" And I'm like, "We are in the parking lot. We'll be in there in a minute." And after I finished watching those two depictions of what my friend had shared on Facebook, I told my wife this. I said, "Look, we're going to go into the restaurant, but we're not going to order. And when I ask you to give me your phone, I want you to give me your phone, because I'm going to confront him on this." So we walk into Roscoe's. We sit down, we say our highs and stuff, and we sit down. They come and bring us the menus, but I don't pick up the menu. My wife picks up the menu, but I don't pick up mine, because I know we're not staying. I ask for her phone. She gives me the phone. I turn around and I say, "Is this your post?" I put up the phone. I go, "Is this your post?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "So you made a post and say that Barack Obama, President Obama, and his wife are monkeys?" And he said, "Well, it was just a joke." I said, "Well, it's not funny." I said, "So you saying to me that the way you see black people, you see us as monkeys. So you see me as a monkey?" He goes, "No, I don't see you that way." I said, "So you see other black people as a monkey?" "No, I was just kidding, you know. My wife and I will call ourselves like little monkeys and stuff." "Yeah, but you don't call black people monkeys, man. You don't make Photoshop photos and basically reference black people as monkeys." And so we had this small little argument. I wasn't going to scream and lose my control at him in Roscoe's, but my voice did go up a few octaves, I would say, did go up, okay? And so what I did was I took my wife's phone. I said, "Let me go over," and I showed it the photo and depictions, okay, to two other tables, people. Just, I was upset. And I showed it. I said, "What do you think of this photo right here?" And I'm going to tell you right now, the people who saw it thought it was very offensive. Just in case I was overreacting. I know I wasn't overreacting, but I went over and I asked two other tables, and both tables were African American tables, right? And they said, "That's very offensive. That's very offensive," that they said. I walked back. I said, "You know what? Leave your, let's go, dear." We left, put the menus on the table. At least she had the menu. Put the menu down, and we left, and we walked out. And that was the last time that we spoke to them. At that point, I fired him as a friend, because it was just totally uncalled for. But yet, in my conversations and dealings with him, and over this period of time, which is now somewhere like a 5-year period that I've been talking to him and we've been going out as friends and stuff, he always cast himself as a person who was fair-minded, who was open-minded, and he wasn't a racist. But yet, he made two critical errors, really, by showing his hand and who he was. I didn't like it. And here's the kicker. The guy says that he's a Christian, and yet he has these behaviors and attitudes about people of color. So he says he's a Christian and he goes to church on Sunday, and yet this is what he thinks of other people of color. And on top of all of this, he infected his wife with that racist pus that is in his soul, that is in his heart. I mean, man, we look at racism in this country, and why is racism still such a mainstream issue of dissension and derision in America? I'm going to later address a lot of different areas. It won't always be about my stories and other things, but it will be about tackling racism head on, and about confronting and pointing out those people who really say that they're not racist. Because we have all heard white people say, "Well, I'm not a racist because, we never owned slaves, or my family never owned slaves, or like I have a black friend, or I dated a black person, or I have a black boyfriend or a black girlfriend, or my you'll hear parents say, you know, my son or my daughter is married to a black person, as though that gives them some kind of like pass, or it gives them some kind of like exemption. And of course you hear people say like, you know what, I even listen to black music. Really? Okay, we're going to deep dive into a lot of different issues and stuff. And I know that a lot of you have stories that are very similar. I invite you to make comments, you know, below. And if you haven't subscribed, like I said before in every single video, I'm posting this on YouTube first, and I'm also sharing it on Facebook as well. But what I'd like you to do if you're on YouTube is click the subscribe button, and also there's a link where you could put in your email, like I said, so that way if my videos are ever taken down, I will be able to set up my own platform and contact you and send it over to you. So thanks once again for listening and being here and understanding and wanting to tackle racism and systemic racism, so we can get rid of this ugly and hellacious scourge on our society in America. I love you. Thank you again. God bless you. See you next time.